right, hi everybody. Happy Thursday. My name is Jennifer. I'm the nutrition coach at Bandit CrossFit, and today we're going to talk about picky eating. I'd love to hear what you hope to walk away with after this seminar. You can drop your answer in the chat. Also in the chat, I've put a link to today's workbook, so you can open that up and go through it as we go. If you're watching this back on the recording, then there is a link to that workbook so you can do the same. So drop your answer in the chat. What are you hoping to walk away with after this? Here's the thing. Eating is way more complex than just simply the food that you place in your mouth. It's tied to everything from what's going on in your mind to your digestion and even your habits. So today we're going to go from picky to possible. We're going to explore why picky eaters act the way they do, or maybe we do, maybe you're the picky eater, and how to gently guide them or yourself to trying new foods. Before we start, I want to make sure that you can access that workbook. And then I want you to get the most out of this nutrition talk and be able to take some action afterwards. I always start my nutrition talks with the Healthy Steps Nutrition Framework. We at Bandit CrossFit are partnered with Healthy Steps Nutrition, and in alignment with them, we believe that something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated, which is why we focus on a simple habit-based approach. We also know that helping you become the best and healthiest version of yourself isn't just about what you eat or going to the gym for a few hours a week. We also have to focus on a holistic approach that addresses all the things that you see here in this wheel: nutrition, stress management, sleep, mindset, your support system, and your lifestyle. And so that's what we do for our coaching, is we focus on all of those things. Nutrition coaches assign habits that relate to those things. Healthy Steps Nutrition has helped over 50,000 people all around the world to take control of their health. These are just some of their incredible success stories. Maybe you're looking to create your own success. And I do know that we make nutrition and habits simple, but that doesn't necessarily make it easy. There's a lot of misinformation out there regarding what the best diets are, maybe what the best foods are, and the best exercise programs. Like if you Google healthy diet or best diet or what are the best foods to help me lose weight, you're going to come up with millions of hits. And so it's no wonder that you can easily feel super overwhelmed, and it just seems like it's easier to give up and go with the flow of what everybody else is doing. So let's dive into picky eating. For the years of the latest research and statistics that picky eating isn't just a choice, it's by a mix of biological and environmental. So here are some insights, some statistics for you. I like statistics. 78% of picky eating in kids is tied to their genetics. 45% of cases happen because parents push or they restrict food too much. 30% of picky eaters as adults say their food aversions came from bad experiences in the past. So these eaters can be tough to identify, as there isn't necessarily a standard or a definition or a tool to assess it. But we can recognize it and try to work with it. So here's why. The behavior may lead to stress. It can affect family dynamics and cause severe nutritional deficiencies, as children typically receive fewer key nutrients like zinc, iron, and fiber. So those are kind of the facts and the history behind picky eating. So is frequently eating bad food what leads to people becoming picky eaters? I feel like there's a lot of will look later because they're eating on all the time or whatever. So no, necessarily the case. Eating food leads to picky eating. Restates that unhealthy food leads to picky eating. And here's how: it starts with taste preference. People's tendency to reject healthier foods can be influenced by foods that are high in salt, fat, and sugar. AKA fast food and processed food, right? So the right here. Support is super important. I know. Okay. I'm having real trouble with my interweb. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me get back. Okay. I'm going to backspace just a little bit because I don't know if that bleeped out, but your inner circle, it's super important. The 5 people that you spend the most time with, or your people at work. If your inner circle has picky eating habits, then it's going to be easier for you to develop those same habits. Same thing with your kids, whoever they're hanging out with at school. If they've got sitting with kids at lunch that have picky eating habits, they might pick up some of those tendencies. This applies to kids as they model their parents' behaviors as well. So let's dive into the tips and get down to what is some practical help for you today. Tip number 1 is we have to change our mindset. If you're continually telling yourself that you are picky, will you likely be open to trying new things? Probably not. Food is cultural and it's passed down within families. It also has a mental aspect. Mindset matters 100%. Your mindset is your set of beliefs, thoughts, and feelings about a given situation or circumstance. When you want to alter your mindset about trying new foods, you need to understand whether you have a growth or a fixed mindset. Let me tell you what both of those are. A fixed mindset is the belief that one is unable to change and that no effort is required to achieve success. A growth mindset believes with effort, consistency, and perseverance that you are able to develop over time. Okay. Here are some examples of a fixed versus a growth mindset. A fixed mindset might say, no, thank you. I don't want to try that. I'm a picky eater. If we reframe that in a growth mindset, we might tell ourselves, I am constantly evolving and I can work towards progress. Here's another example. A fixed mindset might say, I will always be a picky eater. That'll never change. A growth mindset might say, somebody else might say to somebody, I like the way you tried all kinds of different foods until you found something that you enjoyed. It'll really take time to adopt this mindset, but it will benefit you greatly in being able to add more variety of foods. What type of mindset do you think you have? And so if you're the picky eater, you are going to start trying to voice that growth mindset in yourself. If you are trying to coax a picky eater into eating more variety, then you are going to talk to them in that manner of a growth mindset, positive reinforcement. So the mind shift may not happen overnight. It's best to make this shift. The best way to make this shift is to identify the benefits of trying new things. Then challenge yourself with self-talk to shift away from resistance and negativity to being open and willing through positivity. Affirmations can be extremely helpful during this time. I just gave you some great examples on the previous slide of ways to reframe, but here are a few more positive affirmations that you may want to put in your toolbox to use as you encourage your picky eater to try new foods. All right, here's the first one. I will try new foods to have a wider palate. I will try whatever food, blank food, in different ways to see if there is a specific preparation method that I like. I'm up for the challenge of trying new things. Trying new things can help me learn more about myself. I might be surprised about the things that I enjoy. And so this is if you're talking to yourself. If you are trying to encourage somebody, that first one we can shift to, we're going to start trying some new foods so that we can have a wider palate here at home. We're going to try, let's just say broccoli in different ways to see if maybe there's a specific preparation method that you like. I'm challenging you to try new things. Trying new things can help you learn a lot about yourself, and it can be super rewarding. And then you can encourage them by saying, I'm so surprised that you found some new things that you enjoy. So what's most important is that you find the affirmation that resonates with you or with your child or your husband or whoever it is that you're trying to widen their palette of. Whether it's one of these or it's a modified version, or maybe it's something that you create yourself. If you have something that you've used before, please share it in the chat so we can share it with everybody else. Tip number 2 is to be strategic with trying food. When considering foods that are not already being eaten, planning ahead and thinking it through, and some strategies are needed to provide the best experience. Try to be involved, or try to get that person involved in the planning, shopping, and cooking process. By being more involved, it becomes more of an experience and something that kids can get excited about. Talk about the food, plan for the food, and then let it simmer in their minds before they try that food. Once they've tried it, plan to try it again within a week of the first time that it's introduced. Make sure you try foods in a social environment with friends or family, not alone, and not with that food group singled out. Some things to try are like different cooking methods, like air frying, baking, steaming, sauteing. Different preparation methods can really bring out different flavors and different textures in food, and that it may not be the actual food, it may be the texture or the season that you're using with the particular food that's causing the aversion. So having a strategy in place will also allow this new thing to be less scary. We want to start out simple when we're trying new foods. Maybe make a list of, like, this month we're going to try, 3 different foods. You certainly don't have to eat the food in its entirety, but trying a few bites and then coming back to it later in the meal, that's another way to kind of continue to expose yourself to new tastes and flavors. You can also add sauces, um, that the person already likes, that can kind of adhere to that taste more easily. And over time, it decreases the amount of sauce added to the food. Does that make sense? So if we're trying a new food and we have a sauce that the kid already likes, we're going to put a lot of it in with that food in the beginning, so there's less aversion to what it is that they don't like. And then as time goes by and they become more comfortable with the food, we can cut back on the sauce or the seasoning or whatever it is that they do like. Overall, just keep it simple, but try to make it fun. I'd love for you to drop in the chat what food you might be having in the back of your mind that you think you're going to do this with. Tip number 3 is just to keep trying. You can do it. It can take up to 20 times before you actually know if you like a certain food. Research has shown that consistent exposure over time to foods has resulted in increased liking of that particular food. Specifically, after 6 to 10 exposures to a vegetable with added sugar or salt, the intake of the unsweetened or unsalted vegetable increased. So the more you have it, the increase of you liking it. So it's definitely great to start by trying it different ways. Get creative with seasonings. I've got some examples here of some Healthy Steps nutrition recipes that you can access on Bandit CrossFit's website, or you can go to healthystepsnutrition.com and they have all these recipes up as well. One of our favorites at home is the buffalo cauliflower. Also cinnamon roasted butternut squash, kale with a kick, and seasoned Brussels sprouts are all things that I've been able to get my picky eaters at my house to eat because they like the flavors. It also changes the texture, especially if you're air frying something, or roasting. Roasting vegetables is great, as well, to try something new and in a different way. When you're trying new foods, the person may feel overwhelmed. You may feel overwhelmed trying to be so creative and get it in, but just remember, so it's okay to take a step back and pause and just try to simplify what it is that you're trying to do. Always try to have a positive mindset. Don't get frustrated, and just continue opening up yourself yourself and your family to new possibilities, flavors, and textures that you really do enjoy. And invite others to surround and support you and that individual, asking them why they like that food and how they enjoy it being prepared. Keep trying it. I can't say that enough. Remember, the more that you're exposed to a food, the more you will be able to accept it. Try it with different methods and different flavors and really try to have fun with it. The more you're able to explore the food, more rich nutrients, the nutrients, the always like to end our talks with our core principles at Bandit as far as nutrition goes. Our first thing is to always focus on whole foods first. I love this. It's by Greg Sugar. It's a great way for you. Base laid down, we can start to focus on balance and macronutrients. We can start incorporating protein every time we eat, focusing on more low glycemic carbohydrates and healthy sources of fats with our meals and snacks, having all of those together. And then thirdly, we like to use the plate method for that. That's taking your plate, dividing it in half, putting those low glycemic carbohydrates, basically your green vegetables, in that half a plate, and then a quarter of your plate, healthy starchy carbs, and then the other quarter of a plate we can put our lean protein. Okay. And then thirdly, limiting the amount of processed carbohydrates and sugar, always trying to cut out processed foods when we can. Think about your biggest takeaway. I hope that it's that you can make this simple and fun. Let me go through some frequently asked questions. Picky eating can be reversed, for sure. We can learn new skills and improve behaviors at our dinner table. We can improve variety in our diets, and then continually using a consistent approach that balances connection, support, exposure, us as the parent modeling, and then tolerable changes. Those are all essential. It can happen, but it does take time, and consistency is key. What about distractions at the table? How does that affect picky eaters? Make it a rule that sitting at the table is a space free of distractions and devices. Allow yourself to choose what and how much to eat from what's offered. At the same time, avoid offering separate meals or snacks if the picky eater refuses to eat. Include at least one food at meals and snacks that the eater likes. So I told y'all, I think before I started recording, I was talking about my middle kid. She's 17 now, and how she was one of the most picky eaters I've ever had. And we never let her have an alternative meal. Whatever I was cooking, she would have to eat. But I did always include something that she liked. She had an aversion to meat, didn't really like meat very much. She had choked a couple times on some chicken as a little, and kind of had an aversion to meat when we were eating at home. And so, we try to use the plate method at home, always having a meat, always having a vegetable, always having some kind of carbohydrate. So we sacrificed for a lot of years, with macaroni and cheese or mashed potatoes or something like that I knew she liked. But she always had to eat, the other things as well, whether it was just a bite of the vegetables or a bite of the protein. We really tried to encourage eating at least two of those places on her plate. And there were a lot of times that she went to bed without eating, and she was very stubborn and she didn't care, but she always got breakfast the next morning. And like I said, she's now one of my best, most adventurous eaters, and healthy eaters as well. She's constantly sending me recipes of things that she wants to try. So there's hope out there. You just have to be patient, you have to be consistent. This is just some more success stories from Healthy Steps Nutrition. These are some from Bandit CrossFit. Look at our little people go. We're so proud of our clients. If you're looking for just more help, good information in, good outcomes come out, Healthy Steps Nutrition does have a podcast. It's called Nutrition Made Simple. There's some tips and stuff that she shares in that podcast, but for the most part, it's success stories and clients through different gyms across the world that have had good success. And so it's just kind of interviews with them. But some really good information can come out of that, because personal experience goes a really, really long way. I do offer nutrition at the gym. You can scan that little QR code there to book a free intro, and then we can talk about options that might be best for you. We run challenges twice a year, so there will be a nutrition challenge coming up probably in the fall. It's usually in August or September. One-on-one coaching happens all the time, and then we can always just sit down for like a 1 hour kind of personal training with nutrition where we can do whatever you need. We can set macros. We can talk about healthy eating. It can be a 1 hour education session or a planning session, planning out meal plans and stuff. So that's what that is. I shared my personal story about picky eating. Also, I was a pretty picky eater when I married my husband. I learned how to like onions and vegetables and all that kind of stuff because I was kind of a product of my dad being a picky eater. His idea of a vegetable was, I think we had broccoli with cheese sauce on it growing up and canned green beans, and that was about it. So there's hope out there yet. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. I did not look before I started this to see what next month's topic is, but I'll be putting that out pretty soon, and I'll look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day.